Yo, people, you know what? It's fucking coming home. It's fucking coming home. Hey, come on, man. Come on, man. You know the vibes, man. You know the vibes. But yo, people, we back again for another episode, man. The usuals, man. The usuals. You should always expect this at the start and at the end. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your people. You know the ones there, man. Before we go into the England, let's go through the other qualifying games. You know, we got to show love to the other teams because there's been some other good games in it. So let me pull it up. Let me pull up the screen. First game I'm gonna look at here is Switzerland versus Spain, and um, let me go to our Spanish correspondent Ori. Well, how are you feeling about that game, and what's your general optimism for Spain for the rest of the comp now?
Um, I think they should try and just take their semi-final and just run away with it because I think getting to the semi-final is probably, more than what most people expected. If they can beat Italy and go to the final, that'd be good. Although I don't really see that happening too much, mostly because I just feel like in terms of their defense, they struggle a bit. They make stupid errors. I think I spoke about this even on the last episode. That their center backs. I'm not a huge fan of them. So yeah, I think everybody knows Spain's game. They try and keep possession as much as they can, and obviously they do that successfully. I think we saw the possession stats now was 70 something to 73 to 27. That's the same pattern they've been using for most of their games. So obviously everybody knows, I think this is how Spain play. They try and pass around, keep the ball and stuff like that. And obviously that leads to them creating many chances, but sometimes the attackers can take them. Yeah, it was just a decent game. I thought they should have won it inside of 90. And if they couldn't have done that, then they should have won it in 120. But yeah, Moreno missed a lot of chances. Yeah, they just couldn't seem to find, the back of the net. And they, got lucky on penalties because, Switzerland had a very good shootout against France, but unfortunately they missed three in this one. So yeah, the Italy game will be very interesting because, to me, these are the best two midfields in the competition in terms of, how they play and, how good they are. So it will be interesting to see how well they can do against Italy. I would say Italy are favorites, obviously, but still I won't take anything away from Spain. I think it's still possible for them to get to the final, and it will be good on them if they can. But yeah.
You know my thoughts on this game. One thing, and I think you mentioned it already, was as soon as Busquets came into that team, started to play better,
Yeah.
and you see they're a lot more quick with their passing. Like no disrespect to Rodri, but the guy's a bit safe on the ball, side to side. But you see, Busquets will make that line breaking pass, will play
Yeah.
exactly. So you're seeing now when they have him in the team, they play better, and you do see that they make quite a lot of chances, but as you're saying, Moreno misses chances. Morata's guilty of that as well. So I think that's another issue for them is that they're not clinical. I think that's what separates them from the Spain of old. Obviously, they're not as good, but I think that's really held them back. That we've seen in the last couple of games, and even in the group stages at times, was their finishing was poor in it.
It was poor,
So
yeah.
that's another thing. So um, and with that Busquets thing, I think this competition has really showed how international football has helped either great passers or the wing backs. You know the ones. Those are the real beneficiaries of the system. You get what I'm saying? Because you've
Yeah.
seen quite a few strikers. Obviously now they're starting to come into it, like Benzema and Kane at the start were initially kind of shaky, but they came towards the end. But we've seen like your great passes and your marauding wing backs have really they've really enjoyed this competition. But for Spain, it's going to be one of them ones where it's just their finishing is going to cost them and their defense because you can see Pau Torres and Laporte, bruv. Like there isn't, with a partnership, you get that idea that there's a command between them, there's a
Yeah.
trust, there's a bond. You saw with that goal, Laporte comes to need a
Yeah. I
ball.
need
He's not
yeah.
confident. You can see, and that can easily be exploited. But it is tournament football. You can just have them one-off games where everything just clicks. You know them ones, so it's one of them ones. But Denzel, what was your thoughts on the game?
Obviously Spain did a normal thing, dominating possession. But the thing is with Spain, they need to be more clinical. You can see there 969 passes. But if you're not clinical, you're not clinical. So yeah, that was a bit worrying. The penalty shootout as well was pretty abysmal, like absolutely terrible. The amount of misses, it was poor. It was poor. But I had a feeling that Spain were gonna win. Obviously, with all that possession, though, you need to be taking more of your chances. But yeah, decent display from Spain. I wouldn't say they blew me away. It was just more of what we've seen, to be honest.
What was your thoughts on Spain? Yeah.
I thought I've been impressed with them so far in the tournament, to be honest. In the Switzerland game, I do feel they deserve to win. In the 90 as well, like they managed to control the game quite comfortably. I never really felt that Switzerland were too much of a threat to them within the game. But yeah, as the guy said, obviously when Marino came on, he had I think 3 or 4 decent, almost clean cut chances, which you got to at least put one away. For me, you got to be scoring there. So but in general, there's been some top players from in Spain that have stood out, like Pedri, like a couple of players that people wouldn't really think would stand out, and even Torres as well, playing on the wing as well. They've had a very good tournament so far. I don't know how they'd match up against Italy, but that's going to be a very we'll get into it, but that'll be a very tactical game. But yeah, I've been impressed from Spain, and yeah, for semi-final, for what the team they had and what people were saying about the Spanish team, you got to applaud them, to be honest, for getting semi-final.
Question. Maybe we'll talk about this when we do the preview, actually, because it was about Spain. But yeah, I'll talk about it then. I don't want to forget about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it then, though. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Belgium, Italy. I did say Belgium were going to win, but I did mention about Italian press and how they would press Belgium. And also, I think this was the main thing, yeah. Belgium's press is so poor, bruv. You saw the way Italy were just moving up the pitch with such ease because Belgium have such a dead press, bruv. It was so poor, bruv. And you saw that in the first half how Italy were just swamping them, destroying them. Italy look good. They look good in it. And I think one thing that they might worry about is Immobile in it because he don't look like he's always there in it. Because before he came off, he was dropping an absolute disaster class, man. But for Belgium, with KDB, yeah, because I know that's the main topic in it. In the first half, I didn't think he was bad. I thought he was probably their best player in it. But in the second half, he kind of did go missing in it. But shout out Doku, he was impressive, man, a real live wire in it. But at the end of the day, I think it was deserved, man. Italy were just a better team throughout, and I think it was 100% deserved. Carl, what was your thoughts? And speak on your boy Jorginho, innit? Because he's been good. He's been one of the best players in the tournament, definitely.
As you know, that I've been back in Italy, probably one of my favorite team, obviously, aside from England. But completely in control of the whole game. I think they're very comfortable against Belgium because, as you said, Belgium, the press was weak. You can't have a midfield of Verratti and Jorginho as well, and they're so comfortable on the ball that there's not a single time you felt, or maybe or they could lose it here and get caught in the break and all this kind of stuff. It didn't really happen. I'll disagree. I think KDB was very poor. I'll be honest. I don't think he didn't bring any threat to the game, if I'm being honest. But again, it'll be harsh to draw out individuals for Belgium because in general, the team it just didn't perform to Italy's level. I think Italy, out of all the teams in the Euros, I'll be honest, I think they've looked the most comfortable so far. People doubted saying that like Chiellini, Bonucci will all think they're too old and stuff like that, but they've impressed, to be honest, at the back as well. That the defense is solid. It's a shame to see Spinazzola out for injury. I've heard 6-7 months now. He's like broke his Achilles, so that's going to be potentially a problem because Emerson is a good player, but you can't really replace him. So, but yeah, I'm very impressed with Italy. Jorginho, I'm happy with his performances. Obviously, like he looks quite comfortable in the DM role, being able to like just keep possession and some good progressive passes as well.
100%, man. Denzel, what was your thoughts on the game?
I thought Italy were fantastic. Yeah, first half, second half, controlled the game, played very, very well. Obviously, Chiesa had a good game. Barella as well had a very, very good game. And I just thought Belgium were poor. Like they didn't really threat in any way, shape, or form. The only threat that was coming was from Doku, to be honest. Kevin De Bruyne didn't really do too much. Lukaku, obviously, he wasn't being fed, so he couldn't really do too much
He had
himself.
a big chance, though. Had a big chance.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put as much of the blame on Lukaku. I feel like the whole team was poor, apart from Doku, to be honest. The wing backs didn't really impress me. Obviously, I know Hazard's not a left wing back, but Meunier, he didn't really do too much for me. For the Insigne goal, I feel like the defenders gave him too much time and space. They allowed him to kind of come in and call that in. I want to talk about Mobley. I'm not gonna go too hard on him. There was one moment in the game where he's on the ground, he's faking an injury, trying to get a penalty, and then you realize his team scores, he gets up, acts like nothing happened. I think that's disgraceful. I feel like, yeah, that's disgraceful. That's bad sportsmanship. I don't like those type of players that try and get fouls when they know they haven't been fouled and try and roll around on the grass, man. It's jarring. But Italy look very, very threatening. I think they've been the best team in the tournament so far, in my opinion.
You support United, just remember that. All right, Ori, what was your thoughts on
what's that got to do with anything? What?
No, Ori, you can talk in it.
Wait, what? That don't make sense.
Italy, like I always say, games are won from the midfield, and Italy have the best in the tournament. So, it was really good to see, how they shaped up, 4-3-3, simple football, and they just seem to outclass Belgium in almost every way. Now I know Carl is a huge Tillemans fan, but as much as I love him as well, but his work off the ball, I have a bit of criticism for it, especially with the Insigne goal. When Insigne was rushing towards him, he didn't have any press or anything, and kind of just made it easier for Insigne to get away with the shot and stuff like that. He's still a young midfielder, so it's one part of his game he could work on. But completely Italy just outclassed them in every way. De Bruyne, I thought it was okay for some moments in the game, but like I've always said, he really isn't a big game player per se. He's just not the guy to take the game by the scruff of the neck and make a difference and stuff like that, especially in the big games. He does his stuff in the Premier League. Kudos to him against Newcastle and Crystal Palace. Kudos to him, good for that. But when it comes to finals, decisive games for your country, you need to step up and be that player, because with the amount of hype he gets, you'd expect him to be that type of player, but it just wasn't to be. And the Spinazzola block for the Lukaku shot, I actually do think that was more a Lukaku miss than good defending, because I feel like he should have hit that with more power or more direction, but he just couldn't get that shot in. Golden generation, it's not looking too bright for them. Like we spoke about before the tournament, probably next World Cup is their last opportunity to try and win something, and it doesn't really look too likely again. But yeah, I guess it's probably one of the most disappointing golden generations that we've seen in a while. Obviously there was England with the Lampard, Rooney. Yeah, that was also quite poor as well. But yeah, the Italy-Spain game, is something I'm really looking forward to. They both use 4-3-3. They both have good, it's almost like a like for like type of game. Tactically, it'll be very good to watch, and yeah, looking forward to that.
Has KDB ever been that guy, would you say, or You think people just
He's a PR merchant, man.
No,
Kevin, the PR man.
I'm not going to criticize him because in Champions League, like before the final, he did his thing. He played well, towards the final, stuff like that. But like we always say, and like I think I asked you guys this question yesterday, that if someone has a bad tournament but they turn up in the semi-finals and finals, would they have a good? And we both said that at the end of the day, people only look at the semi-finals and the finals. And if you have a very good tournament and you don't turn up in the finals, no one cares, man. Like, it's not, look at Messi in the 2014 World Cup. I know he won the Golden Ball or whatever, but no one really cares, man. Like, he didn't win the World Cup, and
didn't deserve it as well.
Exactly, a lot of people say he didn't deserve it as well. I agree with that too. So it's kind of a thing where, like, if you don't turn up in the final, then everything you've done is basically, not to say useless, but it's kind of useless because you're not winning the tournament, so it's kind of pointless. So he didn't turn up for them in the Champions League final. All the biggest games in his career, Belgium, the World Cup one semi-final against France, Euro 2016 against Wales, now Euro against Italy, just nothing from him. And these are the games that could really put you, in the all-timer, conversations. I mean, he probably still is in those conversations because, of what he's done in the Premier League, but just still has to be doing a whole lot more. But next World Cup, he will see what he has to offer again. And if he can't really do too much for them, then his legacy will be tainted on that department. But
just to touch on that as well, on KDB, I say that I hear the fact that in the Prem he has that whole season of performing well, but for me, part of the game, crucial is the clutch side of the game in tournament competitions. And for me, it's very easy for someone to say, oh, but he does it 38 games of the season in the Premier League. But really, when it comes down and the spotlight is on you in big tournaments, for example, international and say Champions League or European competitions, you can't go under the radar if you're supposed to be that guy. And I think that Hazard wasn't in this team for Belgium, so it was up to him to step up now and be the main man. But you can't really go I won't say missing, but you have to step up and perform well. And for me, he hasn't done that. And I haven't seen that from him in, maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen that from him in a major big competition for international or his club, even Man City through the finals in Champions League. It wasn't him that was the star man for me either. But obviously, as you say, got the World Cup to maybe prove people wrong, or Champions League next year.
Yeah, no, I hear that, man. I fully hear that. What was your thoughts on the Denmark Czech Republic game?
I thought Czech Republic were poor. If I'm being honest, I thought Denmark were a lot better team. Denmark, their setup is actually is very good. The defensive setup is pretty solid. Obviously, big Christensen fan. I think they controlled the game. I didn't see the threats that we've been seeing from the likes of Suchek and Kufal. I think they've been good players, but in that game, I do think Denmark outclassed Czech Republic, and I do think that Denmark will give England a much more competitive game than if it was England versus Czech.
No, 100%. I 100% agree with that. Denmark ever since you've seen that they've started to deal with the Ericsson thing, they've actually been playing some good football. So they're definitely going to be dangerous. And one thing I got to give them credit as well is that they managed to see out the game, innit? Because we've seen a lot of times in this Euros, teams can't see out games because they drop too deep. They invited teams on, but Denmark did well because Czech didn't really have many chances towards the end. But Ori, what was your thoughts on the game?
Denmark, they impressed me again as well. They played good football. They got in behind very well. Czech Republic didn't look too convincing for me. Højbjerg, he had a really good performance and he's been performing really well in these tournaments. I think for Spurs, he plays, a deeper role, but for Denmark, he's a bit more advanced. And, I heard some people say that he probably is a better player when he plays a more advanced role. That could be something to look forward to for Spurs, would see. But yeah, Denmark just seemed convincing all round, and yeah, it really seemed like there was no moment of doubt for them. They had better chances as well. Probably should have won the game by slightly more. Czech Republic just couldn't really put good phases of play together. Towards the end, of course, they were scrambling, trying to get that equalizer, but just wasn't to be. Sufar impressed me again as well. I've been giving him credit for a long time now. He's a really good right back, and he's really impressed this tournament as well. And getting Czech here to the quarters, and having a good game as well. And I think he got the assist for the goal. Just been really impressive. Obviously credit to Sheikh as well, getting the goal to take him to the tournament top scorer. Unfortunately, he won't be able to win the golden boot, but I'm sure it's a really proud something really that he can really be proud of what he has accomplished in this tournament. But now Denmark, they'll be looking to try and stop England's fantastic form, and yeah, that should be a good game as well. Some nice attacking football. But yeah, let's see how that goes.
What about you, Denzel? What was your thoughts on Denmark?
Yeah, Denmark have been pretty impressive the whole tournament. It would be easy to use the excuse saying they're just running on pure passion, but they play good football. They play good football, and they have good players. So yeah, this is a good win for them. Obviously, like Ori said, it was good that they hung on to the lead because we've seen a lot of people capitulate in this tournament. So yeah, I feel like everyone's really covered it, to be honest. But see what happens with Denmark and England.
Let's get on to England then. Let's get on to England. Let our honorary guest Carl take it away. What was your thoughts about England? Is it really coming home? Is it really coming home? Tell me.
The thing is, it was an insane game, but the reason why it was good is because they built throughout the game. They built and they was getting better as the game went on until right at the end. They was just getting better and better. The first half, they got the early goal, but the first half I was thinking, surely this can't be the max they can go. Surely they can push for a few more. And as soon as we saw the second half came out, I don't know what Southgate told them or what, but they came out on fire, to be honest. And yeah, they're so impressive. Some Luke Shaw, man. Luke Shaw is stepping up big time. Like, I'll be honest. Maybe I was pushing Chilwell shouts back then, but I can't sure. Southgate's got it right. I can't fault him. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of things people have said, and maybe like even some of us may have said as well. But the line has been spot on. Ori spoke on it quite a few times before, but before the tournament, obviously everyone's had their thoughts of Sterling, but he's crucial to this side. Sterling's crucial to this England side alongside Harry Kane. Like we know what's the class is there, and it was a matter of time before Kane starts scoring. And now he's clutching up. He's clutching up, and this is the Kane we're seeing that's scoring big goals in the Prem. And I do feel that they should beat Denmark. Playing like this, they should beat Denmark. And lastly, the subs Southgate made was solid substitutions. And the fact that he knows to rest certain players, bring on the players that need game time, like Calvert-Lewin, Bellingham. You saw Rashford make his first game. A bit of Southgate, man. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it's coming here. Maybe. Who knows?
I hear that, man. England, man. The thing with England, yeah, is that you wouldn't say they've been impressive, but they've just got the job done. And that's what you need in tournament football at the end of the day, because look at Portugal 2016. They sunk, rough. They weren't very good, and somehow they won it. So you got to big up England, innit? Because me personally, I think there's another level this England side can go to. But if you can get the results, that's the most important thing. And for all the doubters that have been on Southgate's neck, you got to give him his credit. He has shown that he's very flexible. We've seen it against Germany. He went to the back three. He counteracted them, nullified them. So today he went to a 4-2-3-1. And England just looked in cruise control. So, you just got to give up to Southgate and the players as well for you can see the togetherness within the side, innit? So, they're doing well. I've said that now that Belgium's gone, especially now, England are the favourites for the tournament. But it's going to be one of them ones where can they handle the pressure. But let's not let's not underestimate Denmark, but we'll get onto them because I think Denmark are a strong side. But yeah, Denzel, what was your thoughts on England and how you feeling? How you feeling? It's coming on?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. Obviously it's football, anything can happen, so I won't. Is it? You know what? I'm not there. I'm like 50% saying it's coming home, but I feel like obviously we all got carried away with the win yesterday, and we're all screaming it's coming home. But it's football. Anything can happen in football. We have to remain focused on getting the job done against Denmark, because of at the end of the day, it could be screaming it's coming home, and we could get knocked out by Denmark. So yeah, it was a very, very controlled performance. I've been very critical of Gareth Southgate over this past couple months or couple weeks, whatever you want to call it. But I have to give it up to him. He's made the right decisions. He's balanced the squad very well with the substitutions and managing the yellow cards. He's made some pretty bold moves. Going into the tournament, I don't think people expected a Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips pivot, but it's worked very, very well. So you have to give him respect for that. I want to get on some players. I'm gonna start with the United lads. Luke Shaw, Roberto Carlos. What a guy! What a guy! Yeah, he's really, really improved on that left back position. He's growing in confidence in the England side, and with 2 assists, it was an amazing performance. His delivery is fantastic as well. Just a brilliant player. Kane, I want to give props to Harry Kane. They say goals come in batches, and that seems to be happening with him. Obviously, we were all getting onto him at the beginning of the tournament, but class is permanent. So, yeah, he's been delivering. He got his 2 goals. He had a pretty good game. I don't think he should have got man of the match. I think that should have gone to Luke Shaw, but yeah, Harry Kane had a very good game. I thought Sancho played very, very well as well. He brought something different to the side, and I feel like he should start in the next game as well. Harry Maguire was solid at the back. I feel like he controlled, especially with his passing. One underrated thing about Harry Maguire is his ability to like control and build up play. I feel like he did that very, very well. And obviously he got the header with his big slab head. So yeah, it was a very, very good all-round performance. The only critique that I really have is I feel like Pickford and Walker at times were a little bit shaky. That's the only really critique that I have. And I feel like against better teams, you get punished if you make certain mistakes like that. But yeah, very, very good performance, and looking forward to the semi-finals.
All right.
Yeah, let me just touch on a few things. Yeah, being an England manager is probably the hardest job in the world, because the pressure from the media is just it's quite ridiculous. You have thousands of people, millions of people telling you what lineup to go with. You have pundits giving their lineups that they want. You have ex-footballers, you have current footballers, you have different types of people, given how they would like you to set up with, the amount of players you have. And the fact that Southgate has gotten all of his decisions spot on is just, it's quite superb. Obviously, I've criticized him a lot, before the competition started, but the lineups he's been going with in this tournament from the first game, how he sets up with even Rice and Phillips, I was impressed with that, because a lot of people were complaining that 2 defensive midfielders. But obviously in game, it's never going to work that way, because Phillips isn't going to actually be a defensive midfielder. He's going to be more of a box-to-box midfielder. So the way he's set up with that is just, it's quite impressive. Harry Kane, obviously, is back in the goals, top striker, I've always said, for me, he is the best striker in the world. And, he's showing that again in the highest of stages. Sterling, obviously, a lot of people were saying that he shouldn't go, but, he's proved again why he is in the squad and why he's starting. Sancho, I thought he had a decent game, to be fair. He had good moments where, he beat his man comfortably. Like I've always said, though, I think he's definitely better on the left-hand side. And I think he did try and come there a lot of times. And Sterling would go to the right. But yeah, that'll be something to look forward to. I do think probably Saka should start the next game. I just always feel that from the right hand side, a left footer is just always better. It's always better beating teams from the inside rather than going on the outside. I've always been a fan of inverted wingers rather than wingers who try and play from the outside. What else? Yeah, I think in terms of Ukraine, I think Zinchenko should have been a left wing back, try and work Walker a bit, on that right hand side, try and get good balls in. I know he was pushed to the central midfield, which is, his popular position for them, but he looked good wing back in the previous game. So I thought he should have just carried on there, but I don't know why he didn't. Yeah, England, they still haven't conceded a goal. That's something that's, quite breathtaking. They should beat Denmark on paper, they should get to the final. And, I've always said once a team is in the final, it's, whoever's game it is, because, the finals to me is just always like, anybody can win it kind of thing. Like we saw Chelsea and City in the final. I think everybody was calling for City to be favorites, but obviously Chelsea just were better on the day, and it's just about who's better on the day. So once England are in the final, I wouldn't really put it past them to win the whole competition. But yeah, good on them. They're playing good football, scoring goals. They look like a force to be reckoned with. So I guess Italy and or Spain plus Denmark should be worried about England. But yeah, let's see how that goes for them.
All right, cool. So let's look at the first let's look at the semi-finals. Sorry for that. So let's look at Italy versus Spain. And the question I wanted to ask would you start Pau Torres or Eric Garcia in the final? Just a question for everybody.
I would go with Garcia, just because I feel dynamics of two left-footed centre backs. I'm not a huge fan of that, and I feel like Laporte is better than Pau. So yeah, I'd go with Torres and Garcia. Although I'm also not a huge fan of Garcia as well, but I just feel like he just offers slightly more than Torres. I know Pau has a good he has a good passing range because with the long balls and all of that, but I'm not just too convinced with that partnership. I feel like the Garcia and Laporte one just looks slightly more convincing for me.
Oh, and Denzel, you have any thoughts on that? Or
I don't really think it makes a huge difference, to be honest, from being raw.
Yeah, true.
Any?
I'll say, yeah, I would agree with RAT there. But I do believe that that partnership, it will never be perfect with these current players. But however, I do think they could make I think Laporte and Torres, it was a decent centre-back partnership, and you do have to consider they do have the cover, luckily, of some of the best fullbacks in world football. To be fair, so yeah, it's a decent defense. I'll be honest.
So who are our favorites? So our favorites for that is Italy, innit?
Yeah, I'm going with Italy.
Okay.
I think that'll be too much for Spain.
So give me a percentage-wise of how you think it's gonna go. So for me, I would say is probably like 53-47 in Italy's favor. I think it's not. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to extra time because I do think they're on the same level, but I think Italy, they just have a better cohesion, and you can just see it with the way they play. There's a confidence there. So Denzel, how would you kind of put in a percentage?
I'll say 55-45. I'll say I feel like Italy are just clinical because of Spain are gonna pass, they're gonna take the ball, pass the ball, whatever you want to call it, but their clinicalness doesn't really wow me. I think Italy, if you give them chances, they'll score. So I'm gonna go with the Italians. Yeah.
What about you, Carl?
I can give you a percentage, but I'll go with the Italians. See, the thing is, the control from the midfield, Spain will try and give it back to them. But for me personally, I do feel that Italian midfield, they can dictate the game when they want to, and they have the ability to get the ball into the forwards, into Insigne. He drops back into that space in the midfield, and he can run at defenders. And when we talk about chances, Immobile's been sus. Let's not get twisted. He's been very poor, but they've got players that these guys they're not missing chances. They're not passion merchants by a long way, but these guys you can see in the Italian team. You can just see by looking at them. These guys, they want it badly. Like, you're not going to win a tournament not being passion merchants, but we know it's Italy over the years. The way they play, like, you're not going to beat them trying to keep the ball. It's not going to work. You've got to make it a very tough game. But I can see Italy winning. It won't be like a big win or like a very, very comfortable win, because Spain are a good side. But yeah. I'll lead on to Italy quite comfortably, I guess.
What about you, Larry? Do you have a percentage for who you have in your favor?
Actually, in terms of favor, if I'm going with Italy in terms of I'll say like 51-49 to be fair. To me, it just all depends on how Enrique sets up. I know he likes to use Sarabia on the left and Torres on the right, but like I've always said, I'm not a fan of touchline wingers. He needs to be switching that. He needs to be playing Torres on the left to try and cut in. Torres is a very good forward. He can work defenders really well. So, you need to get Torres isolated with Italy's centre back of Chiellini. So if he can just try and work them, with his pace and stuff like that, he can just try and get something out of them, maybe win a penalty, something like that, along the lines of that. So I need Torres to be on the left, probably Sarabia on the right, or Oyazabal on the right, another left footer. When Oyazabal came on against Switzerland, he looked really good. He worked cutting in on his left. He was really working those defenders, got a couple shots away, made a couple passes through. He looked like it was really threatening. So just the front three like that, like Torres, Morata, or Oyazabal, I think that would be something that would work Italy a bit. I also don't think Italy are that clinical as well. I know that's just what they are, but I feel in something like the Austria game, I feel like they missed a lot of they didn't take a lot of their chances as well. I think they had a lot of chances in that game as well. But yeah, I just feel it's just going to be a very tactical game. I feel like both of them will be those type of games where you're too scared to lose. So I feel they'll just be very delicate with their passes and stuff like that. Yeah, I won't be, like Carl said, I won't be surprised if it goes to extra time or something like that, or is it settled by penalties? But yeah, I see it being a close tie, but it's something to look forward to. I think it would be probably the best game, not in terms of how many goals are scored, but just in terms of tactics and how both managers approach and the quality of football being played. I feel like it has potential to be the best match that we've seen in this tournament. But yeah.
And then final question: how big a blow is it that Spinazzola's out? Because Carl was saying Emerson's decent in it, but can you really feel the whole? Because the dynamic that they have with Spinazzola and Insigne, because when Insigne likes to cut in, Spinazzola is really holding that width for. Sometimes you see Spinazzola come inside, and the guy can actually dribble, like he can actually go past players. So, how big a loss do you think that's going to be for Italy, Denzel?
I think it's a huge loss. I think he's been out of the whole tournament. He's probably been the best left back in the tournament. I know Shaw's done pretty well, so, but he didn't really start the tournament at the beginning. But Spinazzola's been very consistent, been driving forward. He's been a strong force for the Italians, and losing him is a big loss. Emerson, he hasn't really had too much game time throughout the season, either with Chelsea, so I feel like that's gonna affect him. Yeah, it's a big loss. It's a very big loss.
Carl?
Yeah, I'd say Emerson can hold his own defensively, to be fair, but Spinazzola, part of the threat that Italy have had is the ability for him to take on the right back, and it's just that extra threat. For me, even though it's a big loss, I don't think it's like game changing, but I do believe it'll make it a much closer game, and it allows Spain to feel a tiny bit more comfortable knowing they don't have that threat, because one problem that Spain would have had is the fact that Aspi, we've seen with Chelsea, he can lack pace at times, and sometimes he can get caught. Spinazzola would have loved to play against Aspi, a slightly slower right back, but I guess it's a shame he's out, but yeah, no, it's a blow. It's a blow. But obviously, I got be in support of Emerson. To be honest, I won't wrap him off just yet.
What about you, Ari? What's your thoughts on the impact of Spinazzola?
Yeah, it'll be a really huge loss. I know Aspi is obviously he's a good right back. But I feel like obviously being more of a probably a right-handed centre back is probably his better position. Because sometimes for Spain, when it's isolated, 1v1 doesn't look too convincing for me. So to have Spinazzola and Insigne, both on him would have been something, that could be really hard for him to handle. Yeah, Emerson is decent. Never been a huge fan of him too much, but he's probably be able to get the job done on the day. Yeah, but not having Spinazzola there will be a huge loss for them. It just kind of makes the left-hand side just a bit weaker for them. But yeah, overall they should try and focus on other aspects of the game to just try and work the Spanish defense. And like I've said, I'm not a huge fan of the Spanish defense, so it shouldn't be something that will be too hard for them to break down. Just kind of get errors from them, like that. But yeah.
So moving on to the most important game, I guess. Obviously, where we're at. So England versus Denmark. Let's do a squad. Let's do a starting 11, a joint starting 11. Wait, let me pull out now.
Got man ready here.
Let's do our own one. All right. What formation are we using?
4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1, yeah.
Say nothing. Right. Obviously, Pickford. Maguire and Stones, I think definitely. I think Shaw's.
I disagree.
Huh?
What?
Are we doing a joint squad of Denmark and England?
Oh no.
We're just starting 11.
What starting 11 we think Southgate should go with?
You wanted to put Christensen instead of Stones in it?
Yeah. That would have been. Yeah.
I'd go with Trippier right back.
I'll go with.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna drop Walker?
He should drop.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will, but I think he should. Walker's been poor for me this tournament.
Same.
Yeah, I hear that, man.
He makes a little mistake, then he runs back, tries to use his pace as recovery, and that's literally what he's all been about.
One thing I will have to give him credit for, he has probably been England's best progressor, because he does progress the ball quite well from right back. I can't lie though. Even though I don't rate him that highly, because the midfield don't really progress the ball a lot. It's only really him and Shaw.
Yeah, true.
But if we're going to be honest, Walker's probably going to play in it.
Yeah, I think Walker. Put Walker.
Yeah.
And Shaw.
Shaw's a good one.
Very good ball.
Rice and
Phillips. Yeah.
Do you think he wants to play Henderson?
No. Phillips.
It'll be Phillips. Yeah.
You can't go with Rice and Phillips the whole tournament and even take off Phillips in this game because it's on a yellow card and then start Henderson. Doesn't make sense.
Okay, fair enough, man. I do feel like he wants to play Henderson.
I would go with Henderson, but I feel like he'll play Phillips.
Yeah.
10.
This is the one that is going to cause the most controversy. Yeah. But in my opinion, I think it should be Grealish.
It should be, but it's going to be Mount.
Yeah, I think it should be Mount.
But the thing about it is that you see when Kane drops deep, Mount can actually kind of vacate that space. I don't think Grealish is going to do that. So there is merits to playing Mount in it, but because I thought Mount against Ukraine was quite poor in it, but
I thought he didn't get involved in the game too much.
Yeah, but sometimes he does press at times. He didn't press as much in the Ukraine game, but I feel like there was a point where they had a chance and he closed down Yarmolenko pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
he puts in the shift, Mason Mount.
Yeah, his defensive side of this game is underrated.
Denmark aren't the type of side that would sit back and stuff like that. They're going to cover England. So having Grealish as a 10, to me it's not too ideal because I feel Grealish is way more attacking minded and he drifts way to the left and would he would leave central areas open. Someone like Mount, it resembles more of a 4-3-3 when you play with Mount, and I think that's what England should be trying to go for. So I would go with Mount. I feel like he would as well, but we'll see.
I also think another thing is that England don't really play through the centre. I've seen it so many times how Rice and Phillips, they don't progress the ball. I think Southgate tells them not to because you rarely see England play through the middles. All their attack comes from the wide areas.
Wide areas, that is true.
So,
yeah,
I mean, if you're playing as a number 10 and they're not playing through the centre, then what's the point of you even playing, really? Like, it's just really for your off-the-ball skills. So, yeah.
We've been seeing, obviously, I don't know what you guys think about it, but we've been seeing at the start of the tournament the Rice criticism because of the progressive passing.
It's not his fault. I think I've started to see it's not his fault. I think he's just told to recycle the ball, to be very conservative on the ball. You can just tell.
And at the end of the day, if you deep it, that in that midfield, they haven't conceded, so you can't even argue. That's the thing.
England's best player this tournament, so he definitely plays. I guess. Kane's a shooting. So I guess it's just this position, isn't it?
I'm going with Sancho.
I'm going with Saka.
I'll go with Sancho.
I'll go with Sancho, I'll be honest. But Saka, can I say on Saka? Saka has been had that tournament Foden by a long way.
Yeah.
By a long way.
But
Saka's had a better tournament than both Foden and Sancho. And he's a better
Sancho's only played one game. Saka's played 2 games, hasn't he? So
I think Saka and Sancho this year has been quite even because I feel like Saka has glimpses.
Saka's a man of the match award.
Yeah, I think Saka's been very good.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's too even. And
we played better in the game that Sancho played. We played better in the Saka.
And was that because of Sancho?
No, but let me land. Basically, what I was gonna say, there were more contenders for man of the match in the game in which Sancho was playing than in the game in which Saka was playing. So, yeah. It was a lot easier
against Czech Republic, innit? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I knew nothing really happened in that game apart from
the goal. First half, I remember Saka was good the first half, and then second half, he didn't really
dipped a bit. Exactly,
the whole team kind of dipped in it. So
it was just a worse team performance, and he stood out in the first half. That's probably the reason why don't get me wrong, he played very, very well, but that's probably the reason why he got star of the match. So I don't think we can use that star of the match thing to his advantage in terms of this.
So obviously we were choosing based on what we think Southgate's going to choose, isn't it? So
I think Sancho, because if Saka even had an injury concern, so why is he playing him in the semi-final when is? Yeah. You
don't think he's going to recall Foden, or you think?
I think Foden's tournament should be done, man.
Foden is a shout as well, man.
He shouldn't touch grass. He shouldn't touch the grass.
You know, have a feeling that Southgate was gonna drop. He's gonna drop Sancho.
Sancho.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Nah, I think
he started the game as a right winger, and for majority of the game he was central or left wing. I mean, what does that tell you? Like, he's literally not, especially in games like this. It's quite obvious to see why he plays right wing in Bundesliga, because they obviously play with the high line, so it doesn't really matter like how he cuts in and stuff like that, because he could obviously he has more space in a league like Bundesliga. But when you're playing high tournaments like the Euros and stuff like that, if you're not able to cut in with your left foot, then you're going to be too limited on the right-hand side. So he came to the left a lot of times. He was basically more of a left winger in the game. Sterling had to go to the right a lot of times. So
I definitely agree. Sancho is a left winger, but it's just based on what's his name, Southgate's going to do for this game, innit? As well.
We'll see. I don't think he'll probably go with Sancho. I don't know, but
I can see him dropping Sancho, yeah. But it's just a thing of who's he going to bring in. Is it going to be Saka or Foden?
I think Foden's more likely to play than Saka.
Foden hasn't played the last 2 games, innit?
Yeah, that's why I feel like he's more likely to bring in Foden over Saka. Because he even had an injury thingy, so it's not. I don't think he's playing Saka.
You want me to be honest? I thought Foden was poor, if I'm being honest. From
yeah, he was. He has been poor. He has been poor. He shouldn't touch grass. I think Sancho should play personally, but
We'll leave Sancho because he played the last game in it, so but I can easily see him getting dropped.
We've named the same team.
Yeah, pretty much actually, yeah. So yeah, I see that happening, innit? Do you want to actually do a joint Denmark and England?
If we keep
I
100,
think it's only Schmeichel and Christensen.
if you keep 100, it's only them two.
Are you sure Højbjerg could get into this team?
Yeah,
Phillips,
maybe
potentially.
over Phillips. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah, now I hear that. Oh, wait, who's their right back? Is
What's that? Oh,
I can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how you say his name. It starts with an S, I think. But yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Two players that we've got to touch on. You know, for Spain and Italy, see what two players that have been very solid and are good players are the keepers. The Spain keeper, Simon Salmon, whatever you want to call him, and Donnarumma. He's a crazy keeper. I know he made a mistake, of course, but that's a weak excuse. But see if you want to score against them, you got to play properly, and that's what we saw from Belgium. They didn't have that in them to beat anything we saw coming Donnarumma's way. It was very soft. It was light. So yeah, that's why I think the game with them two is going to be a proper tactical game, because to score against Italy, against Donnarumma, and score against Spain against Simon, it's going to have to be like you can't fluke. I don't think you can fluke it for me personally.
You know how you have airs in it, like so you had Messi to Maradona in it. Yeah. I think it's gonna be Donnarumma as well to Buffon in it, because already man, I remember saying he already has over 200 Serie A appearances in it, so the guy's an anomaly. Like man made his debut at 16 for a goalkeeper. That's not normal to be at such a high level. It's not normal. So yeah, you definitely picked two right players there. I think we covered everything, innit? I think we covered everything. Man. Yeah, I think we covered everything, people. So, yeah, that was the quarters review and the semis preview. Obviously, we'll be back again. Maybe Saturday for the final preview, innit? If England are in it, it's going to be a massive stream, because we were discussing, there might be a lot of people on there, innit? So you man watch out for that. Because if football's coming on, we got to celebrate. It's on your right.
Hopefully. Come on, England. Come on, England.
But yeah, man. You man know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your people. We'll see you again. Peace.